Dad, is she telling the truth? Chris swallowed his disgust and sighed. Your mom is just messing with you. The panic faded from Brenda's face. She glared at me. So it was a lie. I wish I actually had different parents. I hate you, Mom. I forced a heartbroken expression. Only then did her lips part into a cruel smile. Brenda truly believed she was our biological flesh and blood, feeling emboldened to hurt me without fear of consequences. Any remaining warmth in my heart froze over. Late that night, as I hovered on the edge of sleep, I heard the subtle click of the bedroom door handle. A tiny shadow slipped into the room. A minute later, the shadow sneaked back out. From the hallway, a deliberately hushed childlike voice whispered into a phone. Hello? Is this the police? Honestly, my mom really is a kidnapper. All the proof is hiding inside her safe. You need to come arrest her right now. The police response was incredibly fast. I barely had time to throw a cardigan over my shoulders before the front door was aggressively pushed open. Brenda ran crying into the arms of a uniformed officer, pointing a trembling finger at me while wearing a mask of absolute terror. My mom is a bad person who took me. She told me she kidnapped me. The officer didn't notice, but I clearly saw the wicked, triumphant glint in Brenda's eyes. The lead officer stepped forward. Ma'am, we need you to open the safe in your bedroom immediately so we can inspect the contents. Chris rushed into the living room, panic flashing across his face. You can't open that. Taking Chris's panic as a sign of guilt, the officer signaled to a colleague carrying a heavy breaching kit. I turned my gaze slowly to Brenda. Brenda, your dad told you it was just a joke. Why did you still call the police? Is this what you call telling the truth? Brenda clamped her mouth shut, conveniently ignoring what Chris had told her. I looked at her with a heavy, loaded stare. If that safe opens, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life. Brenda snorted loudly and crossed her arms. Mom never knows the difference between a joke and the truth. I have to punish Mom. The safe popped open under the officer's pry bar. Inside rested a tightly sealed metal lockbox. I looked at Brenda one last time. If we prove right here and now that you are not my daughter, will you pack your bags and go back to your biological parents? Brenda answered without missing a beat. Yes. Every time I tell the truth, Mom gets mad. I hate Mom. The very last microscopic shred of pity I held for this girl evaporated into thin air. Watching the officer struggle with the tamper-proof container, I spoke up. I can open it with my passcode, but only if Brenda signs a voluntary relinquishment of parental rights form. Brenda didn't understand the terminology, but recognizing I didn't want the box opened, she eagerly pressed her thumb onto the document. I punched in her birthday. The box clicked open, revealing 3 neatly stacked files. The first was a legal adoption certificate. The second was a stack of official police reports and news clippings from the day she was rescued. The third was a detailed background file on her biological parents. The lead officer read the adoption papers, then moved to the second file. His eyes widened in shock. Looking back up at me, his suspicion was replaced by profound respect. You fought off a gang of dangerous criminals to get her back? Lady, you have some serious guts. Brenda, expecting to see me handcuffed and dragged away, stood completely paralyzed when she heard the officer praising me instead of arresting me. Driven by duty, he opened the third file. With one glance, he froze. He looked up at me in absolute disbelief. Are you sure about this? These are the kid's real parents? You actually want to send her back to them? The other officers crowded around to read the file. A moment later, every single one of them turned to look at Brenda with eyes full of deep, uncomfortable pity. Everyone was waiting for my answer. I simply closed my eyes and nodded. The relinquishment agreement is signed. There's no going back now. Looking at the strange reactions of the adults around her, the reality of the situation finally seemed to pierce through Brenda's arrogance. Pure terror washed over her face.